Hey guys, so today's topic is BL, which stands for Boy Love, and it's a genre of entertainment that is becoming more and more popular and has been for some time with the girls in Japan. So the girls in Japan are interested in this genre of entertainment that is boy love, right? We see it in anime and manga and music videos and sometimes on TV and pretty much everywhere it's popping up, and sometimes even sort of less or more subtly in like advertising and things like that. Recently we showed you guys an image that was at a convenience store, a big sign on a convenience store that had all these pretty boys from a boy band all enjoying Christmas together, and that sort of imagery too is a little bit of a version of this boy love thing. So to try and sort of explain it a little bit better, what you're looking at now is a music video. So I won't play the music because Japanese copyright law is really, really strict, and even for fair use and for comment, things like that, it's hard to get around it because it's really strict. So I'm not going to play the music, but you can see the images, right? And basically what this music video is a little romance blossoming, basically. So I'm not an expert on anything at all, really, but particularly not on this boy love thing. So I asked some of the ladies in our family and their friends about the boy love thing, and why do you like it? You know, what is it about it that you like? And it's just the boys. They like the pretty boys. Usually they say that in these little romance things that one of them is a sort of a stronger character, one of the boys is a stronger character. So in the one you're looking at now, obviously the guy with the earring is supposed to be the stronger character, and the other guy's sort of a softer, gentler, weaker sort of character, and that's quite common apparently with the boy love thing. But there's different versions of it as well. So it's sort of interesting. It's sort of interesting and not terribly surprising, because we've seen an evolution of this over the last, I don't know, when did the samurai stop happening? So slowly over the last, who knows, but you can see if you look at Japanese culture over the years, probably from like the 60s, probably, the imagery of Japanese guys has become sort of softer and more feminine, and fair to say not all Japanese girls and ladies like that style of guy, because we know some exceptions to that. Also too, we know exceptions to those guys. I mean, I'm on my way to the dojo at the moment, and there's some guys in our dojo that are fairly masculine, sort of rough sort of dudes, you know, by Japanese standards. So not all guys are like that, of course, and not all Japanese girls like that feminine style of guy either, of course. However, because the thing's popular, because the genre's popular, it's fair to say that a majority of Japanese ladies, particularly younger ones, do like these soft guys, and it's what the more sort of soft, gentle, pretty. And it's what we see across the board in advertising and in popular music and in everything, magazine covers, just in general, in our lives. You know, I was somewhere recently where there was a bunch of young people, and a guy walked in, and he looks just like one of those guys in that music video. And he had the long, pretty hair, and it had been dyed brown, and he had the one earring, but he was really, really very sort of quiet and shy, and the shy boy thing, we've talked about that lots of times before. And he came in and didn't say anything, and just sort of walked through and walked away, and the girls went, oh, you know, oh, isn't he lovely? And, you know, so we see that in our day-to-day lives too, that the sort of guys that appeal to the girls are quite often these soft, gentle, pretty, delicate, you know, sort of guys. So, you know, even just what came to mind just now is I mentioned another video recently about how samurai are portrayed in some popular TV shows at the moment. And even the samurai, they'll have these guys that are really delicate, pretty, sensitive, quiet, shy little guys who are supposed to be samurai, right? They're sort of like the hero, and they'll be doing action scenes and things, but you know, they're trying to sort of go with what's popular as far as what look is popular, but put it into these sort of samurai movies. You know, it's funny. It is funny to watch. So yeah, it's what you see, and it's not surprising because this evolution. You know, we've seen this become more and more popular over the years. Is there's, you know, the more gentle and soft and sensitive and not interested in girls. That seems to be an essential part of it. Is that and that's we've seen that for a long time. That guy that I just talked about that came in the room, that was the shy boy and came through. He didn't look at the girls. He didn't talk to the girls. He just sort of drifted through and drifted away. And they all went, "Oh, he's lovely," you know. And that's the sort of guy. That's the sort of guy they like. You know, a sort of a guy that might be popular in another country. It's got lots of self-confidence. That walks into a room, and goes, "Hey, ladies, how are you?" Would be considered to be by most Japanese girls ecchi or scary, you know, and I've heard those words used in relation to guys that are like that, and we do actually know Japanese guys that are a bit like that, and I've heard guys that come along and sort of super confident and say something to the girls and then walk away, and then the girls say behind their backs, you know, "Oh, ecchi," or "kawaii," scary, something like that. So guys like that aren't super popular here. So sorry to say, there'll be guys around the world that come here to Japan think that sort of style of thing's going to do them some good here, but usually it won't, because compared to most Japanese guys, that's going to be a bit intimidating and a bit off-putting for the average Japanese girl. They tend to like these quiet, softly spoken, shy boys that aren't interested in girls, and so because of that, this boy love thing is sort of like a extension of that, because there's nothing less threatening than boys who aren't interested in girls, right? So, it's interesting, isn't it? It's a thing. It's a real thing. It's a big thing in our family. We've got lots of girls in our family, in our immediate family and in our extended family. And when we all get together, you know, and you got the cousins there, and they're young girls too, and they, you know, they have these images. You see them all the time. They'll have like the image of some guy on there. They get what would you call it, little plastic folders that they keep things in, like their homework or, you know, different things like that. We'll have the images of these pretty boys, and they'll have on their phones, you know, their phones and their iPads and things. You know, they'll be sitting there, and their screensaver on their iPad is one or a bunch of these pretty boys, and that's what they're into. That's what they're into, you know. Even the older ones. We mentioned recently, we went to a friend's house, and the little girl's about 7, and her mother, and they love the Johnnies, right? And the Johnnies is basically a company, is the Johnnies, and it's sort of like the male version of AKB48. So this very clever guy who owns the Johnnies, same as the very clever guys who own AKB48. It's just basically a image factory, basically, and the AKB48's been like that for years. That's the girl version, right? The girl group, and they just cycle through as the girls get older and get, you know, over 20, they start, or 22 or 23, they start to get too old as far as that company's concerned, and so they'll push them out, or the girls will move on their own, and the younger ones will come through, and they just keep producing them, and it doesn't really matter. You know, the famous ones leave and new ones come on and become famous, and the Johnnies is the same. The Johnnies is basically this company that does the same thing with boy bands, and they have the older ones that are popular with the older ladies, and then they move on, and then the young ones come through, and the recent ones are these groups of really pretty boys, you know, and you can see the difference actually. Just talking about that, you can actually see the difference. The guys that were popular 20 years ago were fairly sort of pretty, but the ones that are coming through now are a whole new level of pretty, you know, with their pretty brown hair and their delicate images. And lipstick or not, it sure looks like they're all wearing lipstick. That guy in that video clip sure looked like he was wearing lipstick, didn't he? I'm not sure if they actually are or not, but it sure looks like they are. Not that it matters. Look, by the way, I just want to clarify, none of this is being critical or complaining or anything. It's an observation like all our videos. Our videos are anything and everything about Japan, and this is something that's big here at the moment. You know, anybody that comes and spends some time in Japan are going to see this imagery. Maybe not the boy love imagery, the pretty boys all together in a group with their arms around each other. You'll see that a lot. But the next level stuff like you just saw in that video, and that's about as far as it goes too, by the way. There are books that the girls read that are a little bit more homoerotic, you know, where they tend to be a little bit more physical and a little bit more next level sort of stuff. But usually in the mainstream media, that video is about as far as it goes. It's sort of suggestive, isn't it? Without being, you know, next level, so that it's still G-rated sort of stuff that they can play on TV and that everybody can watch. So it's interesting, isn't it? And this is a different topic from being gay in Japan, by the way. I made a video years ago about being gay in Japan and the way gay people are treated and all that. That's another video. That isn't the topic. It's not the topic at all. The whole boy love genre and things isn't necessarily about being gay. I mean, it's a separate thing. The imagery is homoerotic, but it's like it's only for the art. I mean, no doubt, you know, some of those guys are probably gay, some of them aren't. Who knows? It's not the point. It's not the point whether they're really gay or not. It's imagery. Again, it goes back to that image, reality, and fantasy thing. That video made years ago that just keeps coming up in these other videos, doesn't it? And that's why is that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if those guys are really gay or not. It doesn't matter. That's not the point. The imagery is what it's about. The imagery is what it's about. The homoerotic imagery seems to appeal to them. Nobody could tell me why, by the way. I asked younger girls, and I asked the ladies that we know, and the wife, what is it about this that appeals? And all I could sort of get was that the boys are really nice and the boys are really pretty, and that's all they could tell me, you know. So they don't. Obviously, it's like a lot of the popular art, isn't it? Is that people don't really worry about analysing too deeply why they like it. They just like it, and that's pretty much the answer I got. I don't know. I just like it. The boys are pretty. That's basically it. They just like the imagery, you know. So, so boy love. No doubt there'll be some people. There's some people that watch our videos that are really into anime and manga and lots of the popular art and the popular stuff. So no doubt there'll be a couple of people watching this who know much more about the topic than I do, and that are more into it too. That are right into it. So we'll probably hear a bit from those guys. That might be interesting as well. Quite often, in the comment sections of these videos, we learn lots of stuff from some of the people who leave comments, because some of them know more about the topic than I do. Most of the topics, really, because all I do is basically show you guys what we see and what we hear. So don't claim to be an expert on any of it, just sort of showing you what we see and what we hear. And this boy love thing is just everywhere. It's just everywhere. It's on the mainstream TV, it's on the posters and the advertising, and you go to a convenience store, walk around the convenience store, you get the posters for all sorts of stuff with imagery of all these pretty boys together, and it's just everywhere you go. Everywhere you go, pretty boys and BL, boy love. So anyway, that's enough of that. Down to the comment section now to learn some stuff. Let's go learn some stuff from the comment section. The gay in Japan video is old. It's an old video. If you search gay on our channel page, you'll find that one. It's a bit old now, but it's probably still relevant. Not a lot has changed. Not a lot changes in Japan. So those 10-year-old, 12-year-old, 14-year-old videos are probably as relevant as they were back then. The fat man just was not so fat and not so old, just slightly thinner and slightly younger. Anyway, that's more than enough of that. Hope somebody got some value out of that. More videos coming soon.